All right. Hey, hey. All right. So, Geminis. So, first off, welcome back. Geminis, this is the 8-8 portal. So, the Lions Gate portal. Um, each year on August the 8th, this comes around. This is the time where Sirius, the dog star, is in alignment with Orion and Earth. But additionally, and I would argue even more importantly, is the idea that when Sirius, the dog star, is visible again, in ancient Egypt, they viewed that as a time of great fertility because oftentimes that's when the River Nile would rise and flood, and that would create greater fertility throughout the land. So it was a very positive time. So, sure enough, this particular 8-8 portal, we would look at that as, I think of it as like a gateway, stepping from one energy into the next, but a time of greater abundance. Maybe it's a time to manifest. By the way, 8 is a real powerful number. And of course, it's not just the 8-8 portal, but it's the 888 portal because this is 2024, which adds up to an 8. Just FYI, this month, I turn 44, which is another 8. And so I will be celebrating this month by going live on both of my channels, this and Tarot Dog, doing some giveaways and free card pulls for my subscribers. So keep your notification bells on. That'll probably happen a little closer toward the end of the month, but just FYI, if you didn't know, now you know. All right, so I did a pre-shuffle out of one of the Egyptian decks. There's always more meaning on this deck, and so I do a pre-shuffle so I can read up on whatever card or cards pop out first so that I get a chance to not miss any of the significance. So we ended up with the 10 of Scepters, which is the same as saying the 10 of Wands in any other deck. And what we see here is one of the Pharaoh's subjects who is tasked with carrying the Pharaoh's scepters across some great distance. And obviously he's exhausted. He's unable to, pause and enjoy the cool oasis of the water behind him or the beautiful fig trees. He's got to complete his task, his mission. It's very arduous, but he is getting help from the rays of Ra. He is getting some kind of assistance, even though this is the final push, this is the final struggle. This is not easy, but a 10 is a completion. Hi, Carrie. Great to see you, Angel. The fact that we have this beautiful vibe of the hardest part is almost over. It feels like Gemini is being given that little nudge that you're in the home stretch. This 8-8 portal could be the time when Gemini is about to wrap up a really difficult cycle. They've been carrying a heavy load, a heavy burden, maybe a burden that shouldn't have been theirs, but they took on a burden for somebody else. But they are just about in the home stretch. And this is like, like I want to cheer. I feel like there's like kind of, the kind of music that really gets you just like pumping, and it's got kind of that I almost hear like a song that has the sound of like train tracks, like one of those. I think Waylon Jennings had a song or two like that, where you could like hear the of like a train moving. Yes, that song "I Would Walk 500 Miles" kind of comes in my head as well. But the first one it's a song I can't put my mental finger on, but I know it's a country song and it's an old one. I want to say it's a Waylon Jennings, and it's very much something about like it sounds like a train. And it's a traveling song. Anyway, we'll leave that, but I do feel like maybe Gemini is even if they're moving, if they're traveling, they're almost done. They're changing something big in their life. They're about to lay down a heavy burden. The energy that is around them is the energy of Virgo and the energy of love. And I only read this deck in the upright, and this is just for the celestial influence surrounding and supporting Gemini at this point. For love, it says maintenance, motive, middle. Also called the fixed mode. Love signs are motivated by relations in home, family, romance, and companionship. They tend to fixate on maintaining relationship systems and dreams that support them throughout their lives. And sure enough, we have like a strong, here we have a whole, herd of elephants traveling together. We see the family, we see the element of, I will remember you. Is that Amy Grant? Love that song. I haven't heard it forever. I will remember you. And we have Virgo, the maiden. So the Virgo constellation represents the fertility of Earth and its harvest. Virgos are prudent, analytical, and detail-oriented. If they can avoid fickle gossip, they tend to become awakened guides. So here's what I would say about that. If there is a celestial energy, there could be a Virgo around um, our Gemini right now that could be, hardworking and supportive. But this could also be if our Gemini has some Virgo somewhere in their chart, they could have a little of that, that little bit of tendency maybe um, to. I usually think it's more like overly analytical instead of fickle gossip, but that's not the way this card presents it, right? This feels like I can now see why our Gemini would carry a lot of heavy burdens. It is because of things like this. If they love someone, if they have love and support as like their baseline for like their character code or their morality code, this Gemini has been carrying a heavy burden because they care about someone, or they care about a whole group, or they care about their job, or they care about whomever, whatever it is, but a little to their detriment. What's nice is that I think our Gemini is about to, I'll say, modify the way they love just a little bit, curtail it just a little. You can still love somebody, you can still support them, you can still be there for them, but it doesn't mean that you have to like completely surrender all of you. We have quality. In the end, it is not the years in your life that count, it is the life in your years. That is such a terrific message for this particular Gemini, just because to love, but love wisely, to give, but give with some kind of, like there's times where we give to somebody and we actually end up enabling them to continue to do whatever they wish at the expense of our own life's endeavors and what we must accomplish. So I think to love well, but also wisely, to make use of all of Gemini's own years on this planet, and to not feel burdened that I'm not allowed to focus my attention on me a little bit. I think that's a big turning point from this perspective of the 8-8 portal. I really think that Gemini has been carrying other people's burdens for the sake of love, and they're about to feel unburdened. They're about to realize this is a power. This is a gift that Gemini is this person, but they have just learned how to curtail it and use it without letting themselves get drained. Yeah, so we have a Knight of Wands in the reverse. I'm going to go ahead and say, or excuse me, a King of Wands in the reverse. I'm going to go ahead and say that if Gemini had dealt with someone who was kind of stuck in like, I want it my way, this is how it has to be, or I'll throw a temper tantrum, Gemini might have been kowtowing to this person for a while, trying to make things work with a person who needs to actually go work on themselves. It feels like Gemini is going to see that, and that's part of him laying down that 10 of Scepters. I'm really not here to be your personal like servant or doormat. Instead, you must go work on you before you can be in my world any further. We have the Six of Swords. This is a little bit reminiscent. I think last night I did the Cancerian storytelling, and this feels a little reminiscent of that. Now, I did Cancer over on Tarot Dog because that's where I do the Cancerian stories. I don't do them on this channel anymore because they kept getting swallowed up in my other content. So I made them the star over there. So if you're ever looking for that, just now you know. There's a free link in the description box that'll take you there. But this is a little reminiscent of that. It feels like this Gemini needed to free themselves from someone else's burden. Just because we love somebody doesn't mean that it's our duty to tolerate any of their unevolved behaviors. And if they can't seem to choose to evolve and become better, then it's okay for Gemini to move forward. It's okay for Gemini to move away. We have the Fool. We have the Star. That's exactly what this is. This feels like whomever this is, I do feel like it's a person that represents that King of Wands. I don't feel like it's a situation. Sometimes I feel like stuff is just a situation that a character is moving on from. I feel like this is a person, a kind of relationship where although Gemini loved them, this could be, say, like a parent who still never quite grew up, still very selfish. Gemini could say, look, I love you, but me like devoting my worries and my energy to you instead of going off and pursuing what I need to in life is really not helping either of us. It's allowing you to stay stuck and it's also making me exhausted. Love you, but love you, but I also have to move forward. And this is a big leap of faith forward. I think our Gemini is about to start reaching toward their dreams and goals. And I think that they're a lot closer to their dreams and goals than what they ever realized. You know what I would say? This is a Gemini who paid their dues for a while. Like they paid their dues that weren't theirs to have to pay, but they paid them anyway, meaning they, grounded out. They were working hard. We have a Queen of Cups and we have a Six of Wands upright. It's finally time for them to have some serious abundance enter into their own life. I feel like, ironically, Gemini kind of like standing up for themselves is what's bringing in all kinds of abundance, success. It's funny because I feel like it's going to be a little floodgate opens up of Gemini gets the honors that they should have had before. Like maybe all of a sudden, their boss gives them a raise. All of a sudden, they, get an opportunity to actually take a vacation. They finally, wrap up some projects that they wanted to do just for them. They start to feel so much more content, and it has everything to do with the fact that they moved away from the situation that was not giving to them at all, but rather kept draining them. And it was, I really feel like this Lions Gate portal, since it is kind of like a change, right? We step across a threshold and it's a time of greater manifestation. But this says the way that this Gemini manifests better for themselves is to actually figure out how to cut the energetic ties of them kind of being an overgiver, caring such a huge amount about another person that it was detrimental to their own successes in life. And the second that they do that, this is them stepping across the threshold, leaving behind the, I must do for this person. They require me to help them, to do for them. That's what I do. That is my role that we've established somehow. As they cut loose of that, we see the Gemini having floods of abundance. All of a sudden, it's, sometimes it's easier to be a solo traveler for a minute. If you're the only one on a trip, sometimes we could say, oh, it's a little bit lonely. I have no one to share the adventure with. On the other hand, when you travel by yourself, you don't have somebody else's bladder you got to consider. Not everybody has to pull over and pee the same amount of times. You don't have to deal with somebody else's, hunger pains or comfort or discomfort levels or, what they like and don't like. It's just you picking for yourself what you do, where you go, how long you go, all of those things. There's something joyful about being the solo traveler sometimes because there's nobody else calling the shots but you. And I feel like that's what Gemini needed, was a little bit of a chance to just call the shots themselves, to just worry about what they wanted, where they want to go, what their goals and hopes and wishes and dreams are. This feels like a burned out caretaker is the role that Gemini had been playing for a period of time. And this is them finally being able to take care of themselves the way they've needed to. And we can see all the abundance that they'll start to receive because they're finally giving to themselves. And I think they really needed to give themselves permission. And that's what this Lions Gate is for the Gemini storyline. J. Marie, you are absolutely with me and alive. Yes, in real time. Hi, Diana. Thank you, honey. Do you know, I have had this top for so long. I bought it at a consignment shop. So I don't buy almost anything new. I pretty much always do yard sales, thrift stores, or consignment shops. And I bought this, oh gosh, it has got to be at least 12 years ago. And I actually have only worn it, I think, twice. And it traveled with me on a huge trip. And I wore it once on that huge trip. And that was many, many, many years ago. It has been to an Italian island. It has been through Rome. It has been through Greece. And yet I only ever wore it once. And, maybe I had to grow into it. I'm older now. I think it looks better on me now. Maybe I don't know. Sometimes you have to grow into your wardrobe, I guess. But I hung on to it until I grew into it. With Juna Well, so good to see you, sweetheart. Yeah, I'm much better. Surely you, sweetheart. I will tell you, my wardrobe seriously needs to be weeded out because I Oh, I don't get rid of anything, and I really need to. I keep like it's color coordinated and it's in tubs. That's how I keep my clothes. So it's like, okay, red. Today is a red day. Tomorrow's a black day. Thursday, next Thursday might be a yellow day, and that's the easiest way for me to find my clothes. I'm a little organized, just not so much. Anyway, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Carrie, so good to see you, sweetheart. All right. I will see you guys again this weekend. You'll definitely be getting another Gemini video. But now I must get to Aries. All right, you guys, take care. Bye. Thanks for a thumbs up and subscribing, guys.